Hello my friends, it's Chuck here again, and eager to share with you another short story, short incident in my God Moment series. I had asked the Lord if I might do 52 of these, but we're already there. So I'm praying and asking Him, do you want me to wrap it up or do you want me to continue with a slightly different format? But here I am. As you've followed my story of faith from a child all the way up to the present day, I've tried to chronologically take you on a journey of faith, a journey not of God coming to me, but of me realizing that He was there all the time, and putting that searching and desiring in my heart to find Him, to find my spiritual home. And of course that's found in the person of Jesus. And He's shown up in some strange places, at the bottom of a swimming pool, you remember, in a classroom, around somebody's dining room table, all over the place. And there's no place where He cannot turn up. That's the mystery, isn't it? And the wonder of the story of the Bible. God shows up in all the ordinary places, unexpectedly, as a result of people's prayers. Amazing. And so now you remember that I had retired from teaching, and I had the great blessing and privilege of joining the leadership team at our local church. That's Cornerstone Assemblies of God in Chester here in Virginia, and was appointed spiritual care director, which is, I'm still learning about all that's involved in that. And I thought, well, how can I share a story about my time as spiritual care director? Because I am still the spiritual care director as well as an elder. And a little event came to mind, just illustrates that the Lord hears our private thoughts and our cries and those sort of things, and He shows up, and He shows up to show us that He's there with us. It's like a revelation of His presence, that He's right there. And two things happened. Well, one thing particularly happened this week. We have some friends in British Columbia, in Canada, and they sent us a text. We don't hear from them that much, but we were thinking of them, and lo and behold, we received a message from them on WhatsApp talking about some terrible flooding. That's in the Fraser Valley in British Columbia, and they'd had 12 inches of rain, I think, in just a few hours, and there was tremendous devastation. Their roads washed away, bridge washes away, the main railway line from Vancouver across Canada, that was washed away and blocked in several places, I believe. Farmers lost cattle, people had to be evacuated. I think there were some fatalities. And our friends who are great Christians asked for prayer. And so we have been praying, and late on Sunday, I believe it was, we got another text saying that after a few days of no rain and a little bit of sunshine and things beginning to just dry up a little bit, and the emergency services trying to get in, they can only get in with helicopters into the town where they live. And she said, and there's more rain coming in. I think they call it a river of moisture coming off the Pacific, and it's particularly intense as the sea warms. The air holds more humidity, and when it goes up onto the Rockies. Of course, it comes down in precipitation. And so they're praying, can you pray some more? You know, and it was, when she sent this text, it was 2:30 in the morning, and she said, fortunately, I don't know what we'd do if we weren't believers in Jesus. She said, but we can't wait until the dawn when we can get out and see exactly what's happening, because there seems to be more flooding than before. And so serious situation. And their home was in the floodplain, but it must be on a little bit of a high ground because the water was coming up, but it hadn't affected their home. And there was a little bit of grazing left for the cattle. I'm not sure whether it's their cattle or whether the neighbour's cattle, but there was just a little bit of area where they wasn't underwater, you know, and they could graze and shelter a bit. Anyway, daylight came, and when they got outside, and she put in her text to see what's going on. And I'll tell you what was going on. When they looked, there was a rainbow going right across the valley, right across this devastated area, with all its pain, suffering, and destruction. There was the rainbow. And of course, for Christians, from the story in the Bible of Noah, the rainbow speaks of God saying that he keeps his promise, and he promised never to flood the whole earth again, did he, and bring judgment in that way. And so for them, and as we looked, she sent a picture of it. Amazing rainbow going from one sort of side of the valley to the other. And I know their spirits were lifted, and it was like God was saying, don't worry, I'm with you. I'll keep my promises. I will help you. And I think that's the testimony. I've shared the stories over 70 years of my life. And yes, I've chosen some that would encourage and reveal God. I've got so many more, but some, you know, people are still alive, and I don't want to impinge on their privacy in any way, because YouTube is a public international forum, isn't it? A place where you can share things. So to be sensitive to that. But I thought of this one little event that illustrates perfectly a God moment. I was sitting in my office at the church one morning, and I shared the office with a few people. It's like a big open office. And one of the guys that was in the office at that time was the youth director. And he was a lot of fun. Anyway, I was sitting, I actually happened to be in the office, a rare moment, on my own, working at my laptop. And I have a screensaver on, which is actually a picture of the English countryside. And I just happened to look at it as I was waiting for my laptop to come on. And for some reason, I just felt this tremendous homesickness wash over me. Well, it does that some time to time. You know, I'm sure lots of people get that, don't they, when they're in a different place or in a different situation. You just think about home, you know. And not that I don't love being in the States. And it's just different, you know. And so I felt this tremendous homesickness, and just homesickness for my family, my kids, yeah, and grandkids, and just England, the soft green hills and all that sort of stuff. And so I was just, oh gosh, I was thinking to myself, come on, shake yourself out of this, you've got work to do. But it just washed over me unexpectedly. And at that moment, Andrew came in. He won't mind me mentioning his name. And I have a peace lily on my side. I rescued it. We had a funeral or memorial service many, many months before, maybe in a couple of years. And this peace lily had been sort of dumped in the office, you know, hadn't got a home. And occasionally I would water it, keep it alive. And somebody said, oh, don't you want this peace lily? They really didn't want to be bothered with watering it. So I stuck it on my little low filing cabinet next to my desk. And although the room is in darkness 2 or 3 days of the week, and it only has strip lights in it, it has survived, and I have watered it occasionally, and it's survived. It doesn't have an open window, doesn't have sunlight or anything. I mean, an amazing plant. And every now and then it blooms, 1 or 2 blooms. Anyway, I'm sitting there. Andrew comes in. I'm feeling homesick. And he said, "Hey," he said, "guess what? I was in the store cupboard upstairs looking for something, and I found these." And he suddenly put them on my desk. There were probably about 6 or 8 little Union Jack flags, Union flag, the British flag. And it happened just at that moment. And I was so blessed. I just laughed. I thought, Lord, you're so amazing. So I stuck them in my peace lily. They're on like little plastic sticks. And they're still there now to remind me that God knows us. And he hears our thoughts, and he knows what's on our hearts. And although it seems probably a very insignificant thing to most of you, it was very significant to me at that moment. And my homesickness left immediately because I had a little bit of England right there in my peace lily. And how good it was that the Lord restored my peace, because Jesus is the Prince of Peace. And so I want you to be encouraged. And do you know what happened after that? That peace lily started to develop about 20 flower buds over the next few weeks. And at one point it had all these flowers, well, not actually flowers, they're spathes, these white spathes, and the flowers are actually a little bit that's inside. But it was amazing. It looked as though it exploded with happiness. And he hadn't done that before. And here's a plant that gets no sunlight, just occasional strip lighting, when the office is operating there. And so here's a God who communicates, who knows how we feel, who sees us, who hears us, who is able to empathize with us and sympathize with us. And I mean, it was a small thing. My life would have gone on. I would have got over the homesickness. But he wanted just to show me that he heard my thoughts, because I was thinking very much, Lord, I really miss that. And of course, then with COVID, it's sort of shut the doors a little bit. But we're looking forward to going over next year when Deborah retires. So, in this season of Advent, which means coming, it's the coming of Jesus. And it's the time when for the 4 Sundays before Christmas, we trace the story of the preparation of God coming in the flesh in Jesus Christ. And the amazing thing is, if you think about it, we celebrate Jesus lying on a little feeding trough, a manger, in probably a cave where there were some animals. Nothing very special. Everybody thought he was going to come in some palace or something, because he was going to be the King of Israel, the Messiah, the Redeemer. But he showed up in a way that wasn't expected. And in that office that morning, when I was feeling homesick, he showed up in an unexpected way and showed me that he cared about me and loved me and knew about me. And he wants to let you know that too, that he knows you, he hears you, he sees you. And I pray that he would show up in an unusual way. Today, or in this season of Advent, or at the Christmas manger in a church service, or a movie you watch, something to do with the true meaning of Christmas, perhaps. So if you get an invitation from a neighbour, why don't you come to Christmas Eve service with us? I mean, a lot of people go to church on Christmas just because they like candles and it's familiar songs and it's non-threatening. But Jesus would love to meet you there at his manger scene. But do you know the reality is that Jesus actually came as a cell in Mary's womb? Isn't that extraordinary? He humbled himself not just to a baby, but to an embryo. And we hear the stories, don't we, of Mary going to see her cousin Elizabeth, who was already pregnant. So there was another miracle birth going on, although she was married, but didn't have any children. And now she did. That was John the Baptist. But when Mary came in with Jesus as an embryo in his body, Elizabeth's baby leapt, was filled with the Spirit, leapt and rejoiced that Jesus had arrived and couldn't see him. And then he was born. And we celebrate that on the 25th of December. So I just hope that you will be surprised by the coming of Jesus in 2021, this Christmas. And just listen for his invitation to come and kneel before him. And let him meet your deepest needs. I pray that blessing in Jesus' name. So have a great week, and I shall be with you next Friday to share another short story, another God moment. Okay, God bless you all. God bless you.